We're going to try and solve the quadratic formula that will appear on the higher level GCSE maths paper, and we're going to do it in Python. So first of all, we're going to analyse what it all is. So I'm going to go to Google and let's find out about the quadratic formula and what it does. Quadratic formula, and let's just dash over to the Wikipedia on it, which seems to be a good page. So this is basically the information that we get and what I want you to look at. Firstly, we have what a quadratic is, and a general quadratic equation looks like this. It has an a squared, or it has an x squared part, it has an x part, and it has a number, and the a, b and c are there just to say, well, it could be any number whatsoever. But the important part is the x squared, the x and the c part, and we want to solve this equation for when it becomes 0, and when it becomes 0 we call that a root of the equation. And if we hop over to this side, we can see a curved graph. All quadratics have this shape, a U shape, or actually we can turn them upside down and have an N shape. And what a root is where it crosses the x-axis. So you can see I've got my mouse just pointing at one root and a mouse pointing at the other root. And this formula here is used to solve it, and that's quite a challenging formula in maths. Now this formula is actually two formulas because of this little plus and minus symbol here. So it breaks down into these two formulas here. So formula along with this one. So we start off with minus b plus, so this is this formula here, the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That gives us one root. Then we're looking at the minus sign here, which gives us our second formula. So minus b minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So this formula is what we need to get our two roots. Let me just start up another tab because Google itself is quite good at drawing these. So I'm going to enter in an equation being 2x squared plus 3x minus 2. Now I suggest you look for an equation that you can use and understand, know what the roots are. So when you do your program, you know from the pictures, from the graph, that you know what the roots are supposed to be. And here's the one I've chosen, 2x squared plus 3x minus 2. So I've got a root here at minus 2, and I've got a root here at 0.5. So they're my two roots, and I will use that information in my program. But before I go there, I just want to nip back to this part where it says ax squared. Now in my equation here, the a is 2. So this is my x squared piece here, the a is 2. My b is 3. So the b part of my equation is 3, and finally the c part is the n, just the number, minus 2. So that is my quadratic equation. And if you want to see, well, this is a U shape. If you want to see the N shape, well, they're generally, if you start off with a minus x squared to begin with. So if I press enter now, it should just flip it upside down. There we go. It gives me a different graph, but because I've started off with a minus sign, I end up with an N shape rather than a U shape. So let's do a simpler one. Let's just do x squared. Let's graph x squared. Now the point of x squared with this formula here is I've got 1 for the a, I've got 0 for the b and 0 for the c, just leaving me with the x squared part here. So a graph of x squared is a U shape because it's positive, and there's the root right there, and if I negate that and press enter, I get the graph, a quadratic, but this time upside down and in shape with the root there. So we're going to write a program that's going to take the three values, the A, the B and the C. It's going to use this equation, it's going to use it twice, and it's going to produce my two roots. Now that is if there are two roots. So let's go over and take a look at what can happen. Let's put in, let's take this x squared 1 out, and I'm just going to do x squared plus 1 and do the graph of that. And this time you'll notice that it just doesn't touch the x-axis. In fact, let me make it a little larger so that you can see that. Let's do x squared plus 10. Hopefully it will, there we go, we've got a larger gap between the bottom of the graph and the x-axis. Oops, I seem to have moved it down. And this has no roots because it doesn't touch the x-axis at all. There are no roots. And in fact, if I negate it as well, so we get the upside down version, again, well, this time it touches in these two places, but if I do minus 10 here, we end up with a graph that doesn't touch the x-axis at all, and there are no roots. So whether we use a minus or a positive number, we can always get graphs that don't have roots, and in that case that's going to be very important for our program, because that might cause it to crash and we might have to build in some robustness in the program. So that's roughly what a quadratic is and how they're used. So let's go over to Python and actually have a go at coding it.